How long do you
Oh,
plan to do? Like,
uh,
how-
less than an hour.
okay.
Yes, yeah. And guys, by the way, welcome. Thank you for a very special episode. We have our first special guest, Frank
Oh,
Djeng,
God.
the master of remaster. We've had friends on the show, but no one that is as awesome as you. Yeah,
Oh, no,
sorry,
no, no. You're too
sorry,
kind. You're too kind.
sorry to all the guests that we've had on since. You guys aren't as cool as Frank, but I'm
No,
pretty
no.
sure that they understand.
Well,
Um,
thank you for having me. I'm glad to join. I'm glad to be here. So,
And
yeah.
like I was showing you off air, what's going on, Food? So, by the way, Food for Thought, guys, best kung fu podcast there is. Seriously, he's just awesome. His name, him and his wife and his best friend, they do a podcast together every other Sunday. I think it's bi-weekly. Incredible. But like I was telling you off air, we have I think I have every release that you've done in the last year and some change because I do have the Bride with White Hair.
Yeah,
And
that's great. That was good.
great. It's a great film. But this year, my absolute favorite commentary has got to be Duel to the Death.
Oh, yeah.
Just an absolute treasure.
Oh,
And
man.
I've been going through and listening to old interviews with you, and I want to share something before we dive
Uh-oh.
too in. So this
Uh-oh.
right here, this is Time and Tide, right?
Yes.
I took a screenshot of this because it just blew my mind.
You mean the movie?
This is your notes.
Yes.
That's your notes
Mm-hmm.
that you took for this
Yeah.
one movie.
Right.
That's insane. So tell me about your. So before we get too into the nitty
Well,
gritty,
before we get to, I got to tell you about what happened. Like, because you just show them all the ones that you have. Like half of them, I don't have them. Haven't even gotten to this because what happened was earlier this year, Eureka sent me the My Lucky Star set, and it got stolen somewhere on its way, either on like customs, right? That one, either at the customs or at the post office. They probably somebody even probably did an inspection, saw it's a Jackie Chan title, and they decided to take it. And so, but they had the nerve to continue, sending that empty carton with tracking and send it to my house. And so when I got it, just this empty carton box with nothing on it. And so since then, I've asked Eureka to keep every single one of my titles that I've done all the commentary on at the office, so that either uh, they can all ship them to me at one go, or I'll go pick them up the next time I go to the UK. So, that's why, like,
that's
since my Lucky Stars, I hardly have any of the titles that I own. I only had a couple since then, like Millionaires Express, PTU, Wild Surge, and what else? Oh God, one more. Duel to the Death. That's it.
so you haven't even gotten like
I haven't
Cinematic
gotten the Joseph
Vengeance
Bolt.
or Armor of God or anything.
No, Amon Guns, I believe it's on its way. So I hope I get it because again, that's another Jackie title.
That's
Yeah.
such a pain.
It is a pain, but it's kind of hard to tell people to keep your shit for you for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Eureka, I say you want all this like for Christmas. And I say, you know what, hang on to it because this was before Omicron, right? So I thought, you know what, Delta is ending. Maybe I could get to come in the spring and pick them all up. And then of course Omicron hit, and so.
Which, by the way, I want to ask you because I do have a couple questions that tie into COVID related stuff.
Sure.
You've been doing panels at various cons since 1997.
Correct.
And you've been doing them virtually now, right?
Well, for the past 2 years because of COVID,
years.
right? The Comic Con, yeah.
Yeah. So, is your like prep a little different now that you're not doing it to a live audience?
Oh, I hated it.
You hated it, really?
Yeah, because there's no interaction.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's pre-recorded. No, we're not. The virtual panels, we didn't do them live. It's all pre-recorded.
Oh, I thought they were live.
No, Comic Con required that they be pre-recorded.
That's
and it can't be over 45 minutes. I mean, we would our panels is 3 hours. The one that we do at Comic Con is 3 hours. Because we show clips and all that stuff, and we talk, and then so so it was it was really horrible. I mean, the first time we did last year, 2020. We were really mindful of the 45-minute time limit. So we were like rushing in, and we were like, oh, boom, 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 boom. Like, Rick would say, oh, Frank, you go. And then someone else go. And so it wasn't really pleasant at all. And then this year we thought, you know what? Screw that time limit. We're just gonna do it as long as we like, and then have them edit it, but then we ended up not doing it for Comic-Con because what happened was because they didn't do a live show. I mean, the live con last year, they were really low on budget, so they have to trim down on the number of panels they can do this year, or they can accept this year. And they say, you know what, we can't let you do the panels because we're just short of funds and stuff. And so we ended up doing our panel this year on a different YouTube channel. So, and that was fun. There's no time limit. We get to talk however long we like. It was like, almost 3 hours. So that was good. No, I mean, the one that we did was good, and it was live when we did it live this year. But the Comic-Con one last year was not live. We were limited by the time limit, and also pre-recorded. So yeah, but hopefully we'll get to go back next year. So because next year is our 25th anniversary of the panel.
Oh wow!
I know.
So for anybody that's watching that may not be familiar with your work, Frank, could you share what you do for a lot of these releases and what your big passion is on all these?
Well, my big passion is Hong Kong movies. So I do commentary. I record commentary. I try to arrange new interviews with some of the, talent and the behind the scene folks. And yeah, so and then I do like subtitle. I redo some of the subtitles.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I already been redoing subtitle back in the Tai Sing days, so now it's kind of like it's great to be able to do them again.
Speaking of that, somebody just asked, is Tai Sing still in business?
Oh no, they've been out since 2014, I think, or 13. I left in 2008, so I left because my mom was getting sick, and where I work, like Tai Sing is in South San Francisco. I live actually across the bay, and so it's like a 2-hour commute each day, and long hours because it's a Chinese. Well, it's actually not a Chinese company. Everybody thought Tai Sing was a Chinese company. It's actually Singaporean. It's a Singaporean company. It's owned by Singaporean, and Singaporeans. Look, you don't want to work with them. They're like your parents. They treat you like they're your kids. So, but they were great. They were great. It's just that, they demand a lot from you, a lot of hours, a lot of commitments. Anyway, so, and so because my mom was getting sick, I couldn't just spend, I have to devote more time to her. So that's why I left Tai Sing. So, but anyway, yeah, I left in 2008. Tai Sing kind of closed shop in 2014, I believe, or 13. So, yeah.
Let's go ahead and get the golden question out of the way. Simon from Food for Thought wanted me to ask you, what's your dream project? Like, if you could do a commentary for a movie that's already been released or hasn't been released yet, what is your absolute dream project?
I really can't think of a dream project, to be honest with you. Okay, well, maybe for commentary wise, maybe Ashes of Time.
Ooh, yeah. That's a great. Now, would you do the Redux or would you do?
Oh, fuck the Redux! No, no, original. Of course, it has to be the original. It has to be the original. Look. I mean, he has all his rights to tamper with or revise his stuff. It's his work. It's his baby.
Yeah.
I just don't. I mean, I can agree to disagree. I mean, I just feel that the original version is much better. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing that kind of stopped me from rating the Wong Kar this year is because the aspect ratios, the color grading, just like you're losing. Like, I'm a big fan of like film preservation, and you're not preserving
exactly
the original.
Right. I have no problem of you changing stuff, but you have to at least let me see the original.
Mm-hmm.
Give me choices, man. You gotta give me the choices. Like Ashes of Time. Why not? I mean, you can have the Redux, fine, but give me the original so that I can either compare or. I mean, that's my nostalgia. I mean, that's the version that I saw initially at the theater, and that's the one that I've gotten used to. So why rob me of the chance to revisit that version?
And Simon also just asked, is there a possibility we might see a remaster of Shaolin versus Llama? I think that's a film fans of the genre would love.
It has to do with copyrights. We couldn't find the rights owner. Oh, well, not me. I don't. Just to be clear, I don't work for any company that I can accommodate. I'm a freelancer. Okay? Freelancer. So, right. I'm a gun for hire, so to speak. So in terms of films that people like always wanted, and how come they're not released and all this stuff, it has to do with two main reasons. One's copyright. Can't find the original owners, and two is the elements. There's no elements. I don't. They couldn't find a negative or what have you to do a proper scanning and restoration. Yeah, but the copyright is the more crucial reason why some of these titles just haven't been released.
I
Shaolin vs. Llama. I mean, and also especially Shaolin vs. Wu-Tang, because everybody asks about Shaolin vs. Wu-Tang, and Shaolin vs. Wu-Tang was like, the original owner has died, the descendant has moved to like Korea or something, or the descendant sold it to someone in Korea. So it's like, how can you trace them down? So it's just the issue is the just main thing is to find the original owner, track them down, and say, hey, are you willing to sell? Okay, so.
I mean, I'm also a big fan of anime, and I'm friends, and I love it, and I'm actually good friends with some of the people that work at Discotheque, and
my wife used to work for Crunchyroll.
Oh, really? That's awesome. And one of the things that kind of ties into what you just said is that they will find the actual film elements for a show, and then finding the rights is damn near impossible because it folds into a company that folds into another company, and then it's just a pain in the ass. But that makes me sad because some of these classics like Shaolin versus Llama or Shaolin versus Wu-Tang are eventually just going to be lost to time if people can't find these rights or can't find them.
I mean, I tell you one thing about the victim, Sammo Hung, Langayan classic. That film used to belong to Golden Harvest, and then it got sold to Ocean Shores. And Ocean Shore sold it to us, Taiseng. We released it on DVD back then. It was one of our best sellers. And then Ocean Shore, ran out of business, so the rights supposedly reverted back to the original production company, what have you. And then the production company kind of sold it to some conglomerate in China because, China also has this demand for these films. They have all these TV channels and streaming platforms, so they need content. Everybody needs content nowadays. So they bought these whole bunch of movies to show in China, either on streaming or on TV channels. But the problem is the company that bought these are not in the film industry. They're more like a commercial business conglomerate, and television or streaming is just one part of the business. So it's very difficult to actually find whoever is behind this huge company to find out exactly, hey, are you interested in selling this to like UK, US, what have you? So,
and one thing I love about your commentaries, and I've said this before to Ryan on the show, I've actually said your name a lot. You're my absolute favorite person.
Oh, thank you so much.
Commentaries. And when companies like your Eureka announce a new release, the first thing I look for is if it has a commentary from you.
Oh,
and in a previous interview, you said, because I've been trying to nail it down, there are certain commentaries that feel too much like it's just too studious, like you're just listening to someone that doesn't seem like a fan, list off facts.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah,
I don't do it.
I hate that too. But you said something in your interview with Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society. Right. You said, I want it to feel like not a lecture, but a lesson of appreciation.
Yes.
Which I think completely just engulfs what I love about your commentary, what I love about Tom Mess, Mike Leader, and Arnie Venna. Those guys do have that same thing where you're giving people knowledge that you can then deeply appreciate the film. And then, but also you could tell that you're giddy, that you're a fan of these movies, that you love to talk about this. And the one thing I love about this commentary in particular is that there's a scene. It's just like a little minor thing, but it's something that I love, and it's something that I miss from companies like Animigo when they were putting out their samurai cinema line,
right?
Which I love samurai movies, but they used to put subtitles over every sign, everything. And you actually highlight in this commentary, which I just watched today again, the little the like words that are on the actual signs. You start saying that's what that means. That's what, and I love that. And I don't think anyone else puts that much detail into it quite like you do.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because I was worried that the subtitle might not cover it. but because I actually did the subtitle for Do It to Death. And I did it for Taiseng, and then for this release, I actually got to redo it. And I distinctly remember that sign. I think I know which sign you're talking about. And I remember that sign was not subtitled. And it's not because I missed it. It's because I guess when we initially did it, we have these time-coded files. And so we can put it back in, but we have to re-time code it. So it became a very tenuous process and also costly. So I thought, you know what? I realized this sign was not mentioned or not subtitled. I better mention it in my commentary. Yeah. So, but most of the time, yeah, I try to point them out, because they're important or they mean something, like I assume that the sign you mentioned was, like the martial arts family, the heritage or something.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So Mo Lam Sai Ga, that's like, the heritage, family heritage of the martial arts world. That is a very important sign because that ties in with that whole story about, his character trying to revive his house reputation, his image as the top tier martial arts clan. And because of the fact that he has a daughter, right? He has a daughter. He couldn't fulfill this wish, and that's why he dressed her up like a dude, and tried to train her, and then come up with all these conspiracy plans so that she can win the duel, and so that their reputation can be restored. And so, to me, that sign just tells you everything about what you need to know about honor, saving face, and all that stuff. So that was an important sign. So that's why I pointed it out.
This, if you guys haven't seen this movie, it's insane, like insanely good. I have seen this. I used to own, I think Sony put out a DVD, right? Back in the day.
Fox.
I have it over there. But this movie is so good. And every time I watch it, I'm just like that watching the screen. And I was watching it earlier and I thought my daughter, who's only 3.5, she's almost 4 in February. I thought she was in the room with my wife. And the final scene, it's bloody, it's graphic. And I look over and my daughter is just watching and she goes, "I love Kung Fu movies." and I was like, oh no, if my wife knew I was watching this in front of her, she
you wouldn't believe how much time it took for me to record that commentary because
really,
well, I do the research and then I come up with the notes. I actually write a script for my commentary.
Wow. That's what I was about to ask you. What's the process and how long does it take usually?
Okay, so the process, I do the research. I usually give myself 2 weeks maybe for the research, and then 1 week to write the script. And then but the script is the most time consuming part because I'll just start writing it, blah, 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 blah. And once I finish writing it, I have to keep fine tuning it to match what's happening on the screen.
Of course.
And that takes forever. Forever. And then not only that, once I've done that, when I start recording it, I also have to make sure that I have enough time to to read all that stuff within that specific time frame. And this one just gave me so much trouble because there's so much information that I want to cover. With the TV network war, the Japanese, the special effects influences and all that stuff. And it's like, oh my God, I have to stop because I haven't finished talking about it, and now they're already at the next scene. So some parts of it I probably recorded at least 20 times.
So when you do a commentary that's a collaboration, because you did a really good commentary with Michael Worth.
Well, you know what? I'll give you the breaking news. I'm doing another one with him tomorrow.
Oh,
nice.
He's in town. So yeah, he just happened to be in town because his family is actually in Berkeley, right? So he's in town, celebrating Christmas with his family. I said, hey, you know what? You want to do another commentary? He said, sure. So we're doing another one tomorrow.
Can you say what for? Or
I can only tell you it's a Shaw Brother title because it hasn't been announced yet. Has not been announced yet, so I can't really tell you, but it's for a Shaw Brother title.
Oh my God, that's exciting!
It's a great one.
That's exciting because I was about to say you're missing from the Shaw Scope set, and I noticed that
I won't anymore.
Breaking news!
Breaking news! Yeah.
No, but that Shaw set's incredible. But I know I'm not going to point fingers, and I've already done this on this podcast, and I want to be unprofessional, but there's a commentary on that set that is full of just easily fact-checked stuff that's factually incorrect. And when I told the commentator about it on Twitter, he was very passive-aggressive. And have you ever gone back to a commentary and gotten something wrong, and you're like, oh shit?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
because I speak too fast sometimes. So
you do speak very fast.
And I hate that. But
why?
Because I know that I kind of sometimes rush through it, and I know people are like, wow, you talk really fast. I couldn't hear it sometimes. And my problem is when I knew that when I talk too fast, sometimes I either say the wrong word or miss something. It's like and that's one reason why the one commentary that I really haven't been satisfied so far. All the ones that I've done so far was PTU. I wish I could go back and redo PTU. For some reason I was very nervous about doing PTU because I love that film. I love that film to death.
It's a great movie.
It's a wonderful film. I did tons of research on it, and then but then there's also there's a problem, and the problem is there's a deadline because there's only so much time I can spend on each title. And PDU, I already spent too much time on researching it, and then by the time I realized, I got to do it, I just I didn't rush through it. It just felt that there could have been more stuff that I could cover, and I didn't.
Well, it's especially difficult because this isn't your full-time job, right?
No, I have 2 other jobs.
Exactly.
I have a full-time job.
While you're
I'll tell you what our jobs. I think people don't realize that. People think I do this for a living.
Exactly.
I have a full-time job working for the government. I'm a tech support guy for the one of the department in trade. So I do tech support for them, and then I also work at the library on weekends.
You still work at the library because you were doing it before you worked at Tai Seng, right? You were working.
I've been working in the library since I've been working in the library since 1986 when I was still in high school.
Wait, how old are you, Frank?
I'm 52.
No.
Yeah.
You look better than me.
No Botox. These are all real. No.
You look good. And by the way, your haircut's great. I'm losing my hair because my
wife would love what you just said. She does my haircut.
It's great, and I wish I could have a haircut like that.
Thank you.
But
anyway, so going back, yeah. So I started working at the library when I was in high school. There was a summer job program, and then I was the only one who signed up to work at the library, believe it or not. And I loved it, and I just thought, wow, and actually before I joined Tai Seng, I was working full time in the library, and then I got bored because look, library is not the most exciting job in the world. It's secure, it pays well, it's like secure, because it's a city job and stuff. But then I got bored. I was young, right? So and then this Tai Seng opportunity came along. I said, wow, hey, of course, even though the pay was actually lower, it was like $800 lower a month, but I still took it. I felt that this is an opportunity for me to introduce these films to the Western audiences, and so I took it, and I worked it for 12 years, and yeah, so it was great. But then even when I was working at Tai Seng, I still worked at the library on weekends, and I still do. So I've been, yeah, and actually there was a time when after I left Tai Seng, I actually went to the library school. So I had a library degree. I did the part-time, so it took me 3 years to get the library degree. So,
you might be busier than me. Like I'm blown. Because I was telling Frank knows my family immigrated from Sicily and started a restaurant. I took over, and it's an incredible amount of work. Everything's homemade, but I could not imagine.
Yeah, food business is like time consuming.
It's super time consuming, but I could not imagine having 2 jobs and then doing commentaries. Like, how do you sleep?
I sleep an average of 3 to 4 hours a day, actually. Yeah.
That's what happened to me, and I had a mini heart attack last week on stream. I was like, I gotta go, and I called 911. So you gotta just be healthy and be safe at least.
I know. Oh, I try not to eat a lot. So yeah, I try.
But what I wanted to ask you about doing collaborations like with Michael Wirth, and also worked on a commentary with John Charles this year.
He's great. I know him for years. Yes. Yeah.
But when you're you're doing research for a solo commentary, is the collaboration process different? Do you go, hey, Michael, research this part, I'll research this part, or do you guys just kind of do your own research?
We do our own research. We do our own research, but I'll be honest. When I do collaborated commentary like that, my research will be a little bit lighter because I knew that I have to save some time for the other person to talk.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So usually, the funny thing is like my research when I do a collaboration commentary, my research is usually like 50% of what I usually do. Oh, yeah, wow. much less. Yeah. And
both those commentaries, you guys have a really good natural chemistry. Like, have you been friends with Michael? And
I've been friends with Michael. Well, he and I work on the martial arts documentary that I'm still working on.
You're still working on that, right?
Yeah, because we're still missing 2 people that we need to interview.
And who are those people?
I can't tell you. One always said yes, and we were that close to going to interview her. It's a she. We were that close to interviewing her because she's been waiting out COVID. She said, I will do it, but come talk, come reach out to me once COVID is over. And so I actually started reaching out to her again a few months ago. I said, hey, we're ready to come and interview. She's actually somewhere else. She's not in the U.S. And of course, Omicron hits, and so now we're kind of like, oh, now we got to wait again. So, yeah, the other person has simply said no to us for the past 5 years.
Really?
Ooh.
So we're still trying. We cannot look. This documentary cannot be released without him. So we're still waiting.
Wow.
I think with that we can kind of maybe guess who it is because you said him. Yeah. The other thing I want to talk about is that you did a live commentary for one of the Lucky Stars movies.
Oh yeah, that was great.
With Scott Adkins.
Yes.
And not like just remove the Scott Adkins part aside. What's it like doing a live commentary? Like, what are the challenges that brings versus doing just a normal recording?
Well, that's really the only live commentary I've done so far. But
that's the only one.
That's the only one. But I had a blast. I loved it. I mean, it was just like, to me, it was like a warm up to my eventual commentary for the Blu-ray. And I have to be honest with you, I feel that I actually did a better job on that live commentary than on the event, the eventual commentary for some reason. I don't know why. I just felt that I flowed a little bit better in the live commentary. And also I think because Scott is such a wonderful commentator himself, he analyzes the action and stuff. And so I just felt that commentary, I wish we would have recorded that commentary to use in the Blu-ray, but we didn't. I mean, I'm sure there's a file somewhere. It would be great to include that, but no, I really enjoyed doing that live commentary. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. And also the funny thing about that commentary though is when we first did a rehearsal, right? Because both Scott and I had never done this before. So we had kind of like a rehearsal prior to the actual session. And we did about like 20, 30 minutes. And then the host, I think it was the 36 Cinema. I think it was 36 Cinema. Yeah. And then he said, okay, stop. I think we're good. However, we need you to talk less during the actual session because we want them to actually watch the movie so that your commentary doesn't distract them from watching it. And so there were, I mean, I don't know what you remember, but a certain time when we actually kind of stopped talking, especially during the action scenes, we have to kind of minimize our contribution during the action scenes so that they can kind of, concentrate on those scenes. But, of course, Scott being Scott, he would analyze the fights and he did a terrific job.
Yeah, he has a YouTube channel and he has a podcast.
He has his own podcast. Yeah, he had his own podcast. He's doing the Art of Action, I think, right? Yep. He's doing an interview. Yeah, those are great interviews. Yeah, he's a wonderful guy. I mean, I met him prior to the commentary because he was one of our guests at the Comic-Con. When we did the panel, we would have guests. He was one of our guests. He's a delightful guy. He
seems like a very stand-up guy.
The funny thing was, he was very apologetic to me when we kind of came together to do this commentary. He said, "Oh, Frank, I'm so sorry. I did this racist thing in E-Man 4." I said, "Oh, I love it." He was worried that I may get offended by the fact he played this racist character. I said, "Oh, are you kidding me? Stereotyping is the best."
Gotta have a villain to be mad at, right?
Yeah.
This isn't directly racist because it's my 3-year-old daughter, but I watch a lot of kung fu movies. I watch a lot of Asian cinema around my daughter, and she asks, "What are they speaking?" And I'll say, "Oh, they're speaking Chinese, or they're speaking Japanese." And she literally will now do. It sounds racist because she's 3, but she's doing the sounds that she's hearing. So she's saying, she's speaking what she thinks is Chinese, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And she goes, "I'm speaking Chinese." I'm like, "Bridget, you cannot do that. If we're out in public, you cannot do that." And she's like, "Why? I love kung fu." She actually was on stream last week. She uppercutted me. I said, show him your moves, and she was doing kung fu, and she uppercutted me live on stream. It actually kind of hurt.
But there's very few like curse and bad words in those films, so whatever she said is fine.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, unless we talk about Category 3 films.
No, I would not. No. No. Yeah, I'm watching Story of Ricky with my 3-year-old. She loves it.
She's quoting it.
I have fun doing that commentary, but
that was a great commentary.
I enjoy it because I don't know I haven't heard the other commentary. I heard a little bit of the Mike Leader commentary and that made me wonder to. I talk about Christian imagery a lot. I talk about the religious parables, like how he's really kind of like a savior, like a Jesus to those prisoners. So I don't know whether the other people cover it, but because I always noticed them in anime, like anime like Evangelion and all the other things, like even Samurai Champloo. They always. I mean, Japanese love using religious images and stuff in the film or in the anime, not because they're religious, but because they felt, oh, this looks cool, so let's include it. So I try to bring that up in the commentary because obviously with Story Rookie being, based on the manga, you will see those kind of imagery, like him, like hanging by the chain is like that's like Jesus on the cross. You actually have a cross. Remember?
Yeah, you actually straight up just have the cross in that movie, which is awesome.
You have the cross with Philip Quark's body on there, and then he brings them, and then of course he rising from the dead, resurrection. I mean, that's all Christian stuff, which I find fascinating, and that's why I try to bring that up in the commentary. But that was I had fun, that was a
Good.
Wonderful. And I tell you, the quickest commentary I've ever done actually was for Forbidden City Cop.
Really?
Forbidden City Cop, because that was actually my first commentary with 88 Films. They came to me and saying, we originally have someone else do it. He kind of backed out at the last minute, and they asked whether I can do it, but they only have 2 weeks. They said, we have 2 weeks. Can you do it? I said, yeah, I'll try it. And I ended up doing it. That was like the fastest. I did the fastest research. I did the fastest commentary.
Jeez.
And I got it done in 2 weeks.
Now, Frank, when you're doing research on a film and that film is that has underlining topics like the handover, or which movie did you cover that was kind of had to do with the SARS outbreak and kind of getting over SARS?
That was Throwdown.
Throwdown, yeah. So when you're doing stuff like that, how much research do you go into then those topics in specific to add to your commentary?
Well, for one thing, because I'm originally from Hong Kong, so I follow what happened over there all the time. Mm-hmm. So I knew about SARS, and and also the recent stuff with the demonstration and the movement. So I follow the history or follow the news very closely. And in the case of Throwdown, it was I already knew way back then that he made the film as a cheer up to Hong Kong people because of what they what they've gone through in SARS. So that to me was very easy to kind of elaborate on because I already knew about it. I knew because Johnny To talked about it. He felt that everybody's down and depressed, and so I want to kind of cheer them up with this film. So, but yeah, I mean, I think one thing I try to do is whenever I look at each film that I was about to do commentary on, I try to find what are the things that Western audiences would find interesting. What they wouldn't know from reading, say, English articles or reviews. Things that maybe in the Chinese magazine, the Chinese newspapers, or Chinese interview that they haven't known about, and which I can include, I can talk about. So
that personal touch is just going to make it that much more special. That's
amazing. So that to me was the most important thing. It's like, unless you read Chinese, you wouldn't be able to know some of these things. And that also helped me with fact check because, with the Chinese articles, they're usually more truthful. They're not, they're really not, there's not a lot of like, say, embellishment or fabrication. Yeah, because if they, look, like, let's say if you read a Chinese Johnny To interview, once it comes out, Johnny To will read it and say, hey, that's not right. That's not true. I'm not going to let you interview me ever again. So for those, for the Chinese magazine, newspaper article, they try to be faithful to their subject. They try not to put a lot of their own feelings, not a lot of their own like impression on stuff. Whereas in the, in English interview or English word, articles and stuff, sometimes the author might tend to put a little bit of his or her own opinions on it. They don't do it in Chinese interview. It's very objective. It's very like unbiased, very plain, just straightforward, just the facts, sort of stuff.
Now, do you think this is the best time to be a fan of Hong Kong cinema?
Yes.
In the States,
yes and no. Yes and no. Yes. I'll say yes first because of all these remastering. These films now look as best as they've ever been.
Oh yeah.
People kept thanking me for like the stuff that I did at Tai-Seng. I said, Tai-Seng, look, the quality on Tai-Seng, like Laserdisc and DVD, is shit compared to TV. These guys these guys do these 10 times better than I've ever, I even tried to do back in Tai-Seng. Of course, it's the limitation of the format, right? I mean, back then,
Right.
DVD and Laserdisc, so now it's all high def, and UHD is also coming. So,
Well, speaking of that, is
Oh,
there
UHD is coming
yes, UHD. Next year, there will be,
for a Hong Kong movie.
correct. Well, you already have some, right? I mean, like Well Go has
Ebola.
released,
Ebola
Well Go is
syndrome.
reading Raging Fire on UHD. There's a couple of Hong Kong. Well, I mean, Ebola Syndrome is on UHD. Who would have thought? But
Yeah, that blew me away when that
and
came
it
out.
looks incredible.
it looks incredible. I mean, the 4K scan. Wow, my. I mean, most of the stuff that most of the Eureka 80, those are like 2K scan. I mean, look, 2K is perfectly fine. They look great
Yes.
in 2K.
Yes.
But to spend the extra money on a 4K scan for UHD, which means, yes, in other words, whatever UHD that's coming next year, those will be 4K scans. But still, but what I'm saying, yeah, this is a great time to be a Hong Kong film fan because of the quality, and also
Just the
it tends
amount.
to be some kind of a renaissance in people admiring these films again, which I'm very grateful for. But on the other hand, you can no longer get to see them in theaters. Theaters are gone. No more Chinatown theaters. I mean, they're all gone.
There's a theater here in town that lets you rent out an entire theater for $150. Up to 20 people can come. My birthday's next month, and I'm actually planning on watching this.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, you can.
in the
Yeah,
picture.
right. That you can do, but to not be able to watch the newer films. I mean, well, there's still a few you can watch, like Raging Fire, of course. But
Yep.
just the fact that the scarcity of the theaters, the experience of seeing Drunken Master 2. Can you imagine Drunken Master 2? I think I talk about that. I think on the previous interview. Went to see Drunken Master 2. Tried to buy tickets to see the 9:30 show. I remember at the Great Star Theater in San Francisco, Chinatown. Sold out. There are 200 people waiting outside trying to get in. But it's sold out. It's sold out. There's no more seats. So the theater had to add an extra 11:30 p.m. show just to accommodate the 200 people waiting outside, including myself. The crowd reaction. I mean, just insane. I mean, just imagine some of these films. Watching these films in the theater, like Duel to the Death. When we first showed it in Comic-Con, the moment Damien Lau character flew backwards. Oh my God, that roar! 3,000 people roaring at the same time. Can you imagine that?
That's awesome.
Right? That is awesome. But that's the kind of experience that people nowadays can hardly feel. But on the other hand, you get to see them in the comfort of your own home in this pristine quality. I mean, these look better than when I saw them in the theaters. No scratches, no speckles, no nothing. And these are all nicely remastered. With nice subtitles, no more laughably bad subtitles. So
I was actually just talking to my wife about this. I was like, our daughter probably is going to grow up in a world where there's no midnight launches for movies. There's she's probably not going to know. I think the most standout martial artist film that I've seen in theaters is probably The Raid 2. And me and my friend driving an hour and 45 minutes to go see it because there's no one's playing around here. And then
I know,
that's such an awesome experience.
Yeah. I'm glad I live in the Bay Area because we have plenty of theaters here. I went to see Drive My Car, that new Japanese film. I love it. That's a great film.
Is it good?
In Berkeley, it's like 20-minute drive from my home. I have 2 IMAX theaters. Again, 20-minute drive. So I get to. It's very easy for me to go to experience this kind of cinema going experience. Where some people I have a coworker who lives in Laredo. He said, "Oh man, if I want to go see an IMAX film, I got to drive 2 hours each way," and I feel bad for them. So. But yeah, access to these films are really at an all-time high right now in terms of video, right? I mean, you can stream them, you can buy the discs, and I'm glad that these people are buying these Blu-rays. Even though physical media is kind of dying, to be honest, but still, people love these films. They love to collect them, and from what I heard from 88 Film, that Eureka, like, this year has been their most successful years in terms of
good.
These
Both of them have just done amazing work this year.
Absolutely.
88 Films, their release of Armor of God, The Young Master. I think their Shaw stuff. I think kind of like what you said earlier. Some of these movies look amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I watched the Chinese Boxer,
I was amazed myself when I saw that.
Blown away. I was like, man, this looks better than, because I'm a massive Shaw fan. If you see right here, this is all Region 3 Shaw Brothers movies.
My Shaw set will arrive tomorrow, just so you know.
Oh, really?
It's like everybody's posting these images. Oh, I got mine. It's like, shit, I haven't even gotten mine.
Luckily, Arrow. streaming as well has kind of killed all the stuff we were just talking about. But Arrow's Arrow Player is great. They put up all the movie special features. So I was able to go through special features, while I'm at work. And then when the box set arrived, I was able to watch the movies on disc and actually see them in good quality.
Pristine, yeah.
I know. I mean, Celestial already remastered them back in like early 2000s, I think, and Taiseng tried to get those titles back then, but they were very notorious to negotiate with. They would start talking to you, and all of a sudden they would no longer answer your email, respond to your call. So Taiseng never got to release those films.
Well, before we wrap up, let me ask you just a couple of generic questions, okay?
Are we wrapping up already?
Well, I said 45, but we can keep going if you want to. I'm down to go
for. How about another 20 minutes?
20 minutes sounds great for me.
Okay.
So out of the stuff that came out this year, what's been your absolute favorite commentary track?
This year, right?
This year.
I will say Duel to the Death is really high on the list. Duel to the Death, definitely. Let's see what else. Well, Millionaire's Express too. Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing Millionaire's Express.
That's such a good
just researching and stuff.
4 cuts of the movie.
I mean, I mean, sometimes I find stuff in it. And, I think people will love it. Like when remember the part about the prisoner number 169.
Yeah,
169 mean a piece of dick or yeah. I mean, so that was I thought that was a pretty nice in joke. That unless you know Chinese, you wouldn't have gotten that joke. Yeah. So
so Frank,
things like that. Mm-hmm.
I also want to ask you. You earlier you said that you actually do the commentary. You actually not the commentary, the actual subtitles.
Some of them, yes, not all of them. I just don't have the time to do all of them. Yes.
But what I wanted to ask you is how much work is that, and also, when you look at certain releases, like I would say the Criterion Once Upon a Time in China set, compared to the Eureka set, they kind of dumbed things down a little bit, and it lost some context and meaning. And I mean, the same thing happened with the Lone Wolf and Cub set versus the Samurai Cinema release. That one was just kind of overloaded with information. It was quite a literal translation of everything. Is it harder to try to subtitle stuff to where it flows easily while you're reading it? Because, a lot of stuff doesn't do a one-to-one translation.
You can't because of the speed. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you my method of doing subtitles. So I've done subtitles starting from the Taiseng days, and so my philosophy has always been less is more. I try to get the meaning across with the shortest line, because one, people have to read it, then watch the image. That's only so much time you have to read the particular line or something. So I try my best to kind of minimize that line, but without sacrificing what I'm trying to convey. Mm-hmm. And I think I've done that pretty well on like the modern title. You notice that I did all the modern titles for Eureka, the subtitle like PTU, Wild Search, and Full Alert. And so those I enjoy doing them because the modern stuff the modern stuff allow me to kind of, it's easy for me to minimize lines for the modern stuff to make it more like conversation, and but with the fewest words, so that you still get the meaning across without giving people the burden of reading so many words. So the modern stuff I love to do. Whereas in Duel to the Death, you notice that all the martial art titles from like Eureka mostly from Eureka, Duel to the Death was really the only one, the only non-modern title, the only martial art title that I've done subtitle for. Is because it's based off my Taiseng subtitles, and I just refined it. I changed like almost every single line. I just made it, it's like, oh, this is great. I have a chance, because I look at my original translation for Taiseng, like, oh, this is shit. It's horrible. It's horrible. What was I thinking? So I read, I basically redid everything, every single line. But obviously, in a martial arts setting, you can't minimalize. Sometimes you just, the way they talk, they're talking is supposedly ancient, like they talk, they're speaking like your ancient Chinese people talking. So there's really so much you can minimize. So you just try to still use the fewest word, but sometimes you would notice the lines are much longer for Duel to the Death. But I think I did a good job getting the point of getting what they're trying to say across, and also trying to be a little bit more, I wouldn't say poetic, but more, more like literate and more like literature kind of reading. but not really like highbrow kind of style.
Of course.
Yeah, so I thought I did a pretty good job. I spent a whole lot of time on that dual depth subtitle. I can tell
You
you.
did a great job. It's my
Yeah, thank you.
it's my favorite single Blu-ray release of the year.
And the funny thing was, it's like, at first I was about, when I knew I had to redo it, I said, this is easy because I remember there were hardly any dialogue, like 550 something lines. That's why I brought it up with Manfred Wong. I said this film has very few lines, but he said, I don't think so. I said, yeah, 550 is a very few lines. But anyway, still that 550 line, I went over every single one of them and make changes, back and forth about how I should like phrases, how I should subtitle this. But in the end, I was very satisfied. I think overall presentation wise, I think Due to the Death would probably be my favorite project this year. And with Millionaires Express being the close second because of my involvement with Cynthia Rothrock in the interview, the scene specific commentary. So, I basically co-produced that whole disc. That whole.
That's what one of my other questions was. If you look at some of the booklets, it says producer Frank Djeng. Is it because you actually bring content to
exactly?
Okay.
Yeah, and then the first time they did it, I was very flattered because I never asked for it. I never asked that I want to produce a credit on these. No, I never asked for it. And I think the first time they put my name on it was for Bride. I think with Bride White Hair. Because
that's such a good movie. That's such an underrated movie.
Because of all the interviews. I mean, hell, I did 5, and I arranged 5 interviews. What's his name? Joe Tay, Richard Yin, the screenwriter. Ronnie. So, 5 interviews, and that was we did that in like 2 months. It's amazing.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I had to translate. God damn, that screenwriter talked like for 2 hours. And I said, you know what? I can't do 2 hours. I got to like condense it. We condensed it down to very nice. Still, it's like 56 minutes or something. That's very translated. So, but that was tough. But we did it in 2 months. I think actually it got delayed by a few weeks because of the color grading. Whether we do the color grading for the film to match the Tai-Seng, to match the original master which we use for the Tai-Seng Laserdisc, because I think for whatever reason, whoever did the restoration initially felt the color was too strong, so they toned down the color palette and said, no, that's not right. The saturated color is Peter Powell's intention, so I had to put it back. So we had to recolor grade the whole film frame by frame, and that took a few weeks. That's why that title got, I think, delayed by about a month or 5 weeks, but it was all worth it. Trust me, it's all worth it.
And then for your Duel to Death release, you interviewed Manfred Wong,
right?
Who's the guy who wrote the script.
Yeah,
you guys had to do that. You had to hire a cameraman in Hong Kong to film him. And how hard was that?
It's not hard. It just, the hardest thing is to find the talent. To be honest with you, cameraman is the easy part. Cameraman is the easy part. I mean, there's so many people who are so good at using cameras now. It's not hard to find someone to do this kind of work. It's not like before you have to do all these light thing and all that setup, all that gear. No, I mean, that interview was done on the Sony Alpha 7. That's it. So finding cameraman is easy. Securing the talent, securing people like Manfred, and find the right time to do it within our frame. Within the release date. That's the hardest part. With Manfred, initially we thought, he told us, I'm going to be back in Hong Kong like on June 29th or something. It was okay, I'll release in September. We have time, right? Then he said, but I have to be quarantined for COVID. I said, oh shit. Right? Because at that time it's 2 weeks quarantine upon returning. So luckily, I guess because he did all the tests and they were all negative, they actually let him leave like a few days early, like on the 8th or the 10th day. So we had time to do it. But then you notice for that interview, I have to do voiceover instead of subtitling. We just didn't have the time. Had we done subtitling, it would have delayed the title.
Yeah. When I first watched it, I think it was like I was just going through the disc and I was like, this sounds like Frank's voice. This isn't Carter Wong speaking at all. I was like waiting for subtitles to pop up and I was like, oh, this guy speaks English. And I was like, oh wait, that's just Frank Djeng. Simon asked, have you ever turned down a commentary track?
By turning down, if you mean people give me titles to select and I say I'll just do these but not these, yes, because it's really a time issue. It's time issue. I mean, like like, I mean, if somebody give me like, okay, I have these 10 titles for you to do, let me know which one you want to do. And then I look at it as like, you know what, I can't do all 10. I just don't have the time. So I just say I will not do these. I'll take these, but I won't. I can't. I mean, I just say I'll do these. That's it. And it's not like I don't want to do the other ones. It's just it's a time issue. You know,
Of course.
I need to sleep. I need to eat. I need to watch movies on my own.
Well, when you have 6 jobs, yeah.
Yeah.
But also, some of the titles on. I'll be honest here. Some of the titles that people ask me to do, I'm not really the genre that I am particularly interested in. They were horror titles. People ask me to do a horror title, and I mean, I'm not a horror fan.
Me either.
So yeah, so
Ryan's a
I know
huge
that.
horror fan.
Right. And I know that other people can probably do a better job with the horror titles than I do. Although I will be doing one horror title next year because that is a great title, and I had to do it. It's not really like strict horror, but you know, it's not
Human
like
Lanterns?
was that?
Human
No, not
Lanterns?
Human Lantern.
Okay.
It's not a ghost kind of horror. It's more like, you know, creature horror. Let's put it this way.
Oh, it's a Hong Kong movie.
Of course.
Oh man, I'm trying to think.
Well, while he's speculating, we've gotten a whole bunch of questions from
Oh,
viewers,
boy.
if you don't mind.
No.
What are some books that you would recommend on Asian cinema?
Good question. I definitely. I'm so glad we are here with the images because I can show you this book, and not because I'm a friend of him. This to me is probably one of the best books on Hong Kong film. This is John Charles' book on the Hong Kong filmography, 1977 to 1997. He did reviews for Video Watchdog. So this is a collection of his reviews that he did for Video Watchdog.
That's awesome.
This is awesome. You can order directly from the publisher McFarlane, or you can order from Amazon. But this to me is one of the best books on Hong Kong cinema. As for the other books, I can't right off the bat. I can't really think of anything. Although, didn't Eastern Heroes come out with like 2 books on posters? It's called Vengeance or something.
The Art of Vengeance. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's still in print. I don't have those books. I've seen them. I think they're great.
Yeah.
It's just a collection of all the classic Hong Kong movie posters. It's just posters, images, not a lot of word. Other than that, all those the one that BFI came out, like the on like sort of like a clip notes version on
Right.
like different films and different directors. I think they did one on Johnny To, they went on Wong Kar-wai. Actually, those are good. Those are great. Those are highly technical. More like for film school people. But if you really want to get like a better understanding of some films that you like, you should get those books. So anything from BFI on Hong Kong cinema, I highly recommend. Oh, of course, there's that book, that huge Wong Kar-wai book, the one with the Maggie Jones legs on the cover. I think all red and stuff. So that's a great book. Yeah.
Also, I would say read the booklets that come with these releases.
Yeah, the booklets
are
are incredible.
Love them.
Yeah, and I'm so glad they reprinted a few of my liner notes.
Your Laserdisc commentary, right?
Yeah, I did several Laserdisc liner notes for them, and then I got burned out by them. That's why I only did like 5 or 6 of them, because those are very hard to coordinate. Because the printing of back then for the Laserdisc liner notes, they printed separately. So like every time when we reprint the Laserdisc, and then they'll come back, like people like Pioneer press out this. Pioneer would come back and say, "Oh, we need the liner notes," and I said, "Oh shit, I got to print the liner notes because the liner notes are printed separately, so I got to print them separately and then ship to Pioneer." And of course, usually when we reorder, the reason we have to repress more lasers is because we have more orders, right? So people are waiting for the order, and they just, people like Tower and Virgin Maker Store. Oh, RIP, right? RIP. And I love those stores. I missed them so much. And then they would call and say, "Hey, we order like 500, Duel to the Death. Where is it?" I said, "Well, we're still waiting for the liner notes to be printed so we can send them to Pioneer and have them put it in." And so after a while, we say, "You know what?" So the last one I did was actually for Prodigal Son, and you notice for the Prodigal Son, I actually have the liner notes printed on the back of the Laserdisc sleeve, so that we don't have to reprint them. So like, you know what? Give me some space there. Okay, I told the graphic design guy, "Hey, give me some space. I need to write some shit on there." And then so I wrote the liner notes on that Laserdisc cover, so that when we reprint the Laserdisc, we don't have to reprint the liner notes. And that liner note, that's my last liner note that I did. That will be reprinted on the.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
That's going to be
that will be reprinted on the upcoming Prodigal Son Blu-ray, and there's also going to be a very pleasant surprise segment on that disc that I really can't tell you because I want you to like discover it, and I hope people will enjoy it. It's a fun little thing that I did while I was in New York. So
Nice.
yeah.
We had somebody comment here. Tai Seng was so helpful to me and my buddy back in the VHS days. Thank you so much, Frank. It was impossible to see Hong Kong cinema in Mississippi in the 90s.
You know, it really took me a while to realize the impact Taiseng has on you know, on these fans. I read, you know, like when I was working there, I knew, I mean, obviously, you know, I knew there's a lot of fans out there. They you know, they order stuff and then we send to them and all that, you know. But just like recently, you know, I've been seeing all these people commenting on like how influential Taiseng has been on them, on their love for Hong Kong cinema. And you know, sometimes I actually get pretty teary eyed, you know, because like I never thought of that. I mean, I know people like would buy them and enjoy them, but I didn't realize that that's like really some of the fans were so, you know, impressed or moved by watching these films. Like this is like their only way of being introduced to these kind of genre, right? And so many years later, now they're now this big fan, and you know, they appreciate all that stuff. And so now I guess I'm beginning to kind of understand the impact I sort of had on doing this back then, you know, because the goal was to promote these to the Western, you know, the English speaking audiences. And that's why we, you know, did all these redesign, right? Changing the subtitles, making them quote unquote English friendly, right? And so now, you know, looking back now, I'm beginning to kind of understand how big of an impact it has on a lot of the fans out there, and I'm really grateful. I'm truly honored. I'm truly grateful. So and look, I mean, like I really cannot complain. This is like a second career for me, for the movie career. You know, I never thought that 12 years after I left Taiseng, people would start knocking on my door and say, "Hey, you want to do this?" And it's like, hell yeah, you know, this is because, you know, it's not like I hated the job and left Taiseng back then. It was because of, you know, family reasons. So to be able to go back and continue this, you know, I mean, yeah, I'm beyond grateful. Beyond grateful.
You are an absolute joy to just listen to. I mean, and I think you give a lot of fans a reason to just instantly hit replay. They're like, all right, well, I've watched the movie, gotta watch the Frank Djeng commentary now. And you know, like when you know, growing up, I mean, commentaries, I've always loved commentaries. You know, growing up, I was an only child. This is gonna sound really sad, but I used to throw commentaries up. This is back before podcasts and stuff, just to have some background noise so I could hear people talking. But now, like when I'm at work, because you know we have a TV at the restaurant, I'll bring my Blu-ray player over and you know, I'll throw on a commentary track, and you know, it's really nice to just have, you know, just to learn about the movies that, because I'm the type of fan that if I like a movie, I want to know every single detail possible.
Yes, no, great. I mean, and I'm here to try to do that. And I'll be honest with you, when I first started doing this, you know, Eureka was the one who approached me. The first time when Eureka said, you know, we've been having a hard time tracking you down. I said, am I that hard to find? They said, oh, I wish we could have found you like earlier, so that their earlier releases like Wheels on Mules and all that stuff would have included my contribution. But then anyway, so they found me and stuff. And so in the beginning, I just thought that, well, maybe this is just, I'll just do a few titles, right? They just asked me to do a few titles. In fact, I hated my commentary for Iron Fisted Monk. My very first commentary for Eureka was the Iron Fisted Monk.
That was my next question. Is what was your very first commentary?
Yeah, that was they approached me and said, "You want to do Iron Fisted Monk?" I said, "Sure." And then they say, "Oh, we're doing a Sammo Hung box set, so we have 3 movies. What would you like to do?" I mean, we want you to do Iron Fisted Monk. I said, "Well, what are the other 2 movies?" And they said, "Oh, it's Magnificent Butcher and Eastern Condors." And Mike Leader's already done commentary on that. I said, "Hell yeah, Eastern Condor! You know, I got to do Eastern Condor because that's my all-time favorite Sammo Hung film." So,
really?
Yes.
Okay.
Eastern Condor, my all-time favorite Sammo Hung film. So I said, "Can I do a commentary for Sammo Hung? I mean, for Eastern Condor?" They said, "Sure." And so, well, I first did Iron Fisted Monk, and I hated it. I thought I did a piss poor job on it. You know, I felt I didn't do a good enough job, and I sent it to them. And then they said they liked it. They liked it. They said, "Oh, this is good. This is great." I said, "Are you sure?" They sure. And then I did Eastern Condor. Now Eastern Condor I was a little bit more satisfied with because I love the film so much, and I did a little bit more research on that film. It's hard to do research on Iron Fisted Monk. There's actually very few materials to do research on.
Oh, really?
Iron Fisted Monk for some reason. But anyway, so I did Eastern Condor. They liked it, and then that's how we get started. And I have to admit, initially I recorded all of them on my iPhone. You know, I just record on my iPhone.
Wow.
And then as this became more and more like later state, and then more and more titles start coming in, and they start saying, "Oh, Frank, we're going to do all these titles next year. I want you to do the commentary on all of them." I said, "Wow, this is getting serious. I better start investing in my gear." So actually I went and bought, I bought like a very nice microphone, and I'm very happy with it because it's actually a nice little stereo microphone. And I started using it, I think, middle of last year. And then when I listened to it, I was like, wow, this is sound as great as, like, this sound even better than, like, have I done it in the studio? And so
But you record everything from home.
Yeah, everything from
Oh
home.
wow.
On my Mac, I'm on my MacBook. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Kung Pao says, and I agree. I would love.
What's about chicken, by the way?
What was that?
Oh, what's the question again? I can't see that.
He said, "Would love if some of the '90s wuxia films, like Butterfly Sword, The Moon Warriors, and Swordsman 2,
of course.
Wuxia film. I mean, I'm a big fan of wuxia. Actually, most of this Shaw collection right here is all wuxia films,
right?
Because I feel like they're never going to get a release. So I invested the money into getting the ones that I don't think, like Sentimental Swordsman, Trail of the Broken Blade. Why do you think that genre specifically is a little bit harder to market to Western audiences? Because, I mean, you could kind of say Duel of Death is a wuxia.
Yeah.
But
Duel of Death is definitely wuxia, yes.
But why do you think that genre specifically is hard?
I think the theatrical the aspect of it. I think people look at these look more like Chinese theater or Chinese opera, with the costume, with the swordsman costume, the way they move. So, although Swordsman 2 is a different story, right? I mean, Swordsman 2 is wild, but yeah, I mean,
it's a great movie.
And I think people, which actually, you bring up a good point because of the popularity of things like Game of Thrones, Highlander, and also the Japanese Chambara film. You would think that, well, these are Chinese swordplay film, people would like them. But for some reason, wuxia film somehow is like compared with the hand-to-hand or weapon kung fu film, it's not as popular. And I think it's because of them being a little bit more like less realistic. Is really more like, I wouldn't want to say supernatural, but like people flying in the air, like some they kind of take out the reality from some of the fans. Like fans were like, I think people who like kung fu films is because they like to see real life situation in like this can happen in real life. People fighting and stuff. Whereas in sword play with all the wire fu, people flying in the air stands and stuff, it's impossible in real life. People can't fight like that, and so there's almost like it feels detached. It feels detached from the reality, and I think some people would rather watch something that they can get more immediate excitement from because they're more like realistic. They're realism based. They're really based in reality stuff. There's gravity for crying out loud. So yeah,
there's a few movies that broke out, like Crouching Tiger, obviously broke. It kind of broke out here. But I recently watched The Bastard Swordsman 1 and 2. I don't know if you've seen those movies. They are bonkers. Just like it just insane. And I called him, actually. I think I called you and was like, Ryan, you have to find these movies. They're fucking amazing. They're just
like those titles that that Kung Pao just listed. I love Moon Warriors. I mean, you have to remember Moon Warriors inspired the Phantom Menace. Yeah. I mean, to the point where he tried to hire Sammo Hung to be the action director. For Phantom Menace.
Lucas did that. He tried to hire Sammo Hung.
Of course.
Wow.
He approached Sammo. He said, I mean, if you watch Moon Wars again, the similarity in terms of plot and all that to Phantom Menace is actually pretty close.
It's so weird when you look at like what's popular here in America, how much Hong Kong cinema, Japanese cinema has influenced so many. Like, I mean, I was talking to Ryan before you joined in the chat. I watched the new Matrix movie, and the fighting is terrible in that movie. And I looked it up. Yuen Wu-ping is not involved in the movie at all, and you can feel it. You can totally feel that.
He's totally missed. Look, I saw the film. I think the story and the concept is great. The execution was poor. So
that's exactly how I felt. I felt the concept was good, the story was good, but
with the exception of one part near the end with the kamikaze part, you know what I mean, right? The kamikaze. So that was great.
Neo just does this, like that's
right.
His power now.
I know why, because I think because of the criticism that the original Matrix inspired so many shooting in schools.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right. So they were deliberately trying to avoid that in the new film, and that's why Neo does not use a gun in this film.
I mean, speaking of Matrix, the Matrix 3, there's wire fu in that like crazy.
Yeah.
Him and Agent Smith just flying around. It's so awesome. Like,
Yu Bing is actually working on a new film.
he is right now.
In China, I think. Yeah, he's working on a new film. He's almost 80 years old now, but he's still working.
Jeez.
He is. I mean, when you look at his influence on Western cinema, I mean, Matrix was copied, Kill Bill was copied. He did Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, right? I believe he did.
I think so. I'm not 100%. I'm pretty sure he did. Yes.
I mean, Drunken Master. You know, I mean, just Iron Monkey. Even though was that him or was that Choi Hark who did Iron Monkey?
No, Iron Monkey. Well, Iron Monkey was Choi Hark, but Yuen Wo Ping was the director.
Yeah. So
Choi Hark produced it.
Okay. But yeah, I think his influence is probably underrated when it comes to like people who cite, you know, the most important influential people.
Yeah.
Who is somebody that you think that should get their due? For me personally, it's Jimmy Wang Yu. I think he's gotten his due decently this year. I think he's pretty understated how important he is.
It was bad timing for him because he was supposed to be the next Kung Fu star, and then first he got overshadowed by Lo Lei with Five Fingers of Death, right? And then he got overshadowed by Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
So, you know, he would. I mean, if it's not for, I think it's more Bruce Lee than Lo Lei, but Lo Lei kind of led the wave, right? In America at least. But had it not been Bruce Lee, I think Jimmy Wang Yu would have been a big star. I think he would have been huge.
I would kill for you to do a commentary on Beach of the War Gods. That's
people have asked about that film, but I'm not sure whether. I don't know. I mean, I'm not involved in any of them, like acquiring these films. I just, they would just say, hey, Frank, we got these films. You want to do commentary on them? I'm not involved in any of those negotiation parts. So I just do what they tell me.
But if I had $1 million, I would try to find the rights to that movie, and I would hire you to do the commentary.
But I always thought that Beach of the War God was a Fortune Star because they released it on DVD a while back under the the Legendary Collection thing. I remember that. So
I think that was Shout Factory, right? I think it was a co-release with Shout.
Shout Factory released the ones, right? I mean, but I'm not saying that the Hong Kong DVD was from Fortune Star,
okay. Yeah.
which would lead me to believe that Fortune Star owns that film.
That's a great movie.
Yeah.
Obviously, we want to be respectful of time, but I have one big question. If that's
okay.
Yeah. So we had somebody ask, do you have any thoughts about the effects of the Chinese takeover on Hong Kong cinema? And I'm curious. Obviously, we've heard a lot about the recent law changes, what's been happening over there. If you could share any insight on what might be affected in the near future.
Oh boy.
If you don't want to comment, you don't.
No. I'll just say briefly about it because I did mention a little bit about it on my PTU commentary when I talk about when the national security law was passed last year and how it led to this unknown of people not knowing, am I crossing the line? What I'm making, am I crossing the national security line that I'm going to be in trouble? And I talk about how they have to scrap the opening night premiere of that film with, Aaron Kwok and Tony Leung at the very last minute because it talks about corruption in like bribery and corruption in the Hong Kong police, even though it's set in the 80s and stuff. So, but obviously this passing of the NSL has a chilling effect on the, Hong Kong filmmaking community. And now, with this latest, I mean, I don't know whether you've been following this, but they recently passed a bill that kind of say any movies has to be reviewed by this board or bureau of government folks to make sure that they're not violating the NSL, and it's retroactive. So films like 10 Years and even From Beijing with Love, those films, and of course Her Fatal Ways that directly talk about the 1997 takeover. So the passing of first the national security law and then this bill about the censors, having the rights to ban a film or not allowing it to be shown in Hong Kong because they might possibly violate the law, and they will never tell you what the violation was. And a few films have already been banned or like the screening has been canceled because they never got the permit to show, because they have the different thing between Hong Kong and China. In China, they have to pre-approve your script before you can start making the film.
Right.
So when you're making the film, a smart filmmaker can put little tiny subtle stuff in there that bypass the Chinese government or the film bureau without violating the rules, like Raging Fire. Raging Fire. Of course, it was a Hong Kong China. People think it's a Hong Kong film, but really, it's still a Hong Kong China co-production. So the script has to be pre-approved. And so, if someone looking at the script would think, okay, this is fine, you can go ahead and make it. And then you watch the film, you have all this criticism about the cops. You have this cop, kneeling in front of the police station. The Hong Kong police is ashamed of the city and all that stuff. I was shocked to see that they let that pass. It's probably because they weren't in the script, or they were,
so
not that explicit in the script, right? So I mean, smart people like Benny Chan, R.I.P., and Johnny To, who make the great Drug War. I mean,
that's an amazing movie.
Yeah, I mean, they were able to jump around the loopholes within this system and have certain things that normally you won't see in a China film come across, right? Corrupt cops, bad cops, all that stuff. So, but now, with this passing of the bill being retroactive, I can't. I'm afraid of the ripple effects it has. Not only, exactly. Thank you. Exactly. You're right. That's what I'm about to say. I'm worried not only because certain films we can no longer see, but also let's say overseas distributor like Eureka and somebody go to Hong Kong and say, hey, I want to buy this film now before it's too late, right? Because we know the bill has passed and all that, so we want to make sure we can get this film to distribute overseas. And the film owners or whoever that owns it say, I can't sell it to you now because I'm afraid I might violate the law. What if I sell it to you? Then I'll be, I might be accused of station or colluding with foreign power. So the fear is there now, right? Because of the fact that the bill is retroactive. Now, they did make a specific point about this bill not covering streaming. But who knows? Who knows when that's going to happen? I mean, recently there's this big hoopla about Disney Plus. Disney Plus recently launched in Hong Kong last month, and Disney Plus have The Simpsons. The Tiananmen episode. Remember they went to China. There's an episode where they went to China and they have this big this monument says, here on Tiananmen Square on June 4th, 1989, nothing happened. So that episode, okay. If you watch it, if you sign up to Disney Plus in Hong Kong, that episode is not there. And Disney had never explained why that episode wasn't there. However, let's say if you use VPN, you switch it to like Taiwan. Let's say you stream Disney Plus from a Taiwanese server, that episode is there. So what does that tell you? Self-censorship.
State censorship, yeah.
It's self-censorship now, really, because people are afraid. Because there's no clear line, there's no clear indication of what you can do or what you cannot do. And so people start self-censoring, right? Because they're afraid that they're going to cross the line. So the easiest way to not to cross the line is to avoid even attempting to approach the line in the first place.
Absolutely.
Which is why you see Disney Plus taking away that Simpson episode for the Hong Kong service. Now as me being a librarian, self-censorship is really the worst thing that can ever happen to, freedom or
to anybody.
Yeah, anybody. Right. Yeah, artistic freedom. So I don't know what's going to happen later on, but I think it's just going to get. Me personally, I think it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Films like 10 years is already been banned. Of course, they're not going to say, "All right, we're banning 10 years," because 10 years talk about the future. But I dare you that any channel in Hong Kong to show 10 years now, I don't think they would dare to show 10 years. So, but let's hope. Yeah, let's just hope that all these films that made before, we still have a chance to get them or to see them before it's too late. Because, like I said, once the Hong Kong distributors say, "Oh, we can't sell this to you anymore," it's time to start scouting those VCDs and old DVDs.
Oh yeah.
That's exactly what I've been doing. I have a stack. I have a small stack here. I'm surprised that this hasn't gotten released yet. Full Contact, even questionable movies like Skyline Cruisers. It's a pretty goofy movie, but yeah, it's really sad, especially from a film preservation standpoint.
Yeah, of course.
And it's just sad that some of the stuff might just be lost to time eventually because
forever.
Yeah, I mean, why would you think Kiwi Chow had his documentary about the China, the movement, the 2019 movement, everything got shipped out, so that he wouldn't be arrested because he no longer, he made that documentary about the 2019
Yeah.
anti-extradition bill thing, and so that the one that got shown in Cannes Film Festival, and so prior to the news coming out, he shipped everything outside of Hong Kong so that he wouldn't get into trouble. And amazingly, he still has not been in trouble. He's still in Hong Kong. I mean, the director's still in Hong Kong, but somehow, for some reason, nobody has bothered him. But that tells you, that maybe in the future, other film. I mean, there's already another film about the, like some of the protesters. I mean, it's a fictional film about the protester trying to save another protester. That film got shown in Taiwan at the Golden Horse Film Awards, but that film would never be allowed to show in Hong Kong for sure. So there might be a time where to see a Hong Kong film, you may have to go outside Hong Kong to see it.
And then Sarda says, do you think some directors will leave Hong Kong for artistic freedom?
Well, a few of them already left. One of the 10 years director left, Jevan Ao, the one of the 10 years at 5 directors. So one of them already left, Jevan Ao, and the other one, the one that made the last segment, Mgala, he also left. So Jevan went to Canada, Mgala went to UK. So yeah, some people some of the artistic folks and the filmmaking folks have already left. Some actors have left. Chapman Toh has gone to Taiwan for more than a year now.
Wow.
Chapman Toh, who's in Infernal Affairs and other films, so he's been, because he's pretty outspoken. Anthony Wong has left. Anthony Wong is actually, he is still kind of travel between Taiwan and Hong Kong. Anthony Wong is really kind of the innocent victim because he never really, expresses political views, but somehow he was considered to be pro-democracy, and so he was blacklisted by the Chinese government. He remember he had he didn't make any movies for 5 years because he was blacklisted.
Wow.
Yeah, to think a Hong Kong Film Award Best Actor winner, Untold Story and Beast Cop, right? To have nobody approach him to make a movie for 5 years.
Ridiculous.
And Frank, a little bit of a happier question.
Okay, please.
What's your all-time favorite movie?
Oh, you mean Hong Kong movie?
No, just overall. Like overall.
I it's just too many of them. I mean, right off the bat, like Hollywood films, I would say 2001. Lawrence of Arabia.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Apocalypse Now, definitely Apocalypse. Yeah. Hong Kong film, I'm a big Wong Kar-wai fan, so Ashes of Time for sure.
Not the Redux. Fuck the Redux.
Fuck the Redux. Fallen Angels. I recently rewatched Fallen Angels. I love it.
I love that movie. That's a beautiful
Fallen
movie.
Angels is almost as good as Chongqing Express, I thought. But Ashes of Time, definitely. What else? It's just hard to think of these films right off the bat because there's just so many of them.
There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. So
I have my favorite movie tattooed on my arm, and that's Seven Samurai.
Okay. Yeah. I love Kurosawa. I mean, Ron.
I actually just showed my wife Ron 2 weeks ago, and I thought she was not going to like it because my wife grew up in a very small town, like in the middle of the country, and she had never seen anything until she met me. And she married a huge nerd. So I was like, hey, we're going to watch Ron. And we watched it. And she was like, this was beautiful. And I was like, I'm so glad you like this movie.
I'll tell you a funny story. When I was in college, I took a film study class. And by then, I already known Kurosawa. I have a high school teacher to thank. She introduced me to Kurosawa by showing Throne of Blood. And I watched Throne of Blood. I was like, oh, my God, what an amazing film. So that's my love for Kurosawa began. And then went to college, took a film study class. And the professor, who's a French old dude, he said, oh, you have to choose a film and to write a paper on it. Or choose a filmmaker or something. And chose Kurosawa. He said, you cannot use Kurosawa. I said, why not? He said, because we talk about Western European films here. Kurosawa is not as good as them. I said, are you fucking kidding me? But I ended up choosing another filmmaker. But I still have to thank him for introducing me to Fellini. Because I love 8.5, La Dolce Vita. But to be told that Kurosawa is not in the same league, it's like, are you crazy, man?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think Kurosawa, he's my favorite director of all time.
Right. Johnny Toe is definitely on my top
Johnny Toe is up there. He's up there. Yeah. He's my top 10. Exiled is just such a phenomenal movie.
Yeah.
Throwdown's phenomenal. Hopefully we see more Johnny Toe in the future.
There will be more Johnny Toe next year. Well, I mean, I guess I don't know whether you've seen the Eureka post this morning, but everybody kind of guessed. I mean, running out of time 1 and 2 is coming next year. So.
Oh man, as a double pack. Oh,
I don't know yet. Most likely.
Woo! Fuck yeah, Frank just dropping little.
People guess it.
People guess it. Yeah. Oh man, that is awesome. Johnny Toe is amazing. Well, Frank, thank you so much for giving us an hour and 20 minutes of your time.
Absolutely.
Very gracious. You were absolutely incredible. You're welcome back anytime.
Oh yeah, please. Yeah, anytime you want me to come back, just let me know. I'll be here. Yeah.
Awesome. So guys, thank you so much for watching. And if you guys don't know, go pick up some of your Freaka titles. And if you're not region free,
what are you waiting for?
Yeah, what are you waiting for?
Get a region free player. Buy it from online. Go to 80 electronic. I mean, I am not affiliated with it.
Yeah,
I'm not affiliated with any of these retailers. I just want to let you guys know where you can buy them because you can't buy them in stores, right?
It's
so Bombay Electronics,
yeah,
880 Bombay Electronics, they sell region free players. It's like there's no reason for you not to get a region free player nowadays. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Because and I tell you why. I know we're gonna cut it and we gotta stop it, but I gotta tell you,
you can keep going.
People always ask. This is one question people always ask: how come this film is not available in the U.S.? It's copyright,
right?
Because somehow U.S. copyright fee are much higher than other countries. I think
That's what I've heard.
Right, and I think it's because Hong Kong filmmakers or distributors are spoiled by Miramax because back then they were paying astronomical sum for movies.
Oh, really?
For Super Cop and all those films. So they were paying at least six figures, I think, just in copyright for these films. So Hong Kong, Hong Kong film distributor and production company, they're spoiled. So whenever other American distributors start knocking on the door, even Tyson, they say, "Oh yeah, $100,000 US for the rights." So you're crazy, But then for other countries, European countries, they would think, "Oh yeah, UK, small island, France, small country. Oh, no English subtitle. All right, well, you can get this for $2,000-3,000. I mean, I'm just guessing, right? $2,000-3,000 in copyright because Spectrum, they never have English subtitles. Obviously that would help them a lot in terms of buying them because
there's a workaround of that. That's pretty simple.
Of course, there's a workaround, but still, the fact that the physical media itself doesn't have the English subtitle means that the Hong Kong film owner know these are catered specific to French-speaking audiences, and so they know that the exposure is limited, so they can't recharge them a lot of money for the copyright fees. Whereas the moment they think U.S., huge country, New York, L.A., San Francisco, Boston, big fans, tons of people, like millions of people, they're going to make lots of money. Let's charge them six figures, So that's one main reason why you're seeing some of these films only be available in UK but not US, and so to watch them, you really should get a region-free player.
You should, and guys, they're cheap. Everyone's saying 220 electronics. They have a model that's I think it's $120 shipped. It arrives in 2 days. The one I have is a 4K region-free, and I think it was $200. But still, this is just stuff Frank was on this year. I got my money's worth out of that. This was just stuff Frank did.
And stuff is the stuff that's released here and there. A lot of time it's cheaper there, so you actually save money in the long run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's 2021, guys. What the fuck?
So 2022. I don't think your hand will be able to contain the title that I'm going to do.
I'm so excited. That's what I heard. I heard the rumor is Eureka's doing an Asian film every single month.
Yes.
Oh my God. At least one a month.
Yeah, and also remember there's also 88 films, right? So.
Yep, and I'm excited to see what. They kind of teased a little bit in October. They put the lineup in the background there. Fans were easily.
Oh, they just teased it again yesterday on an post with all these abbreviations. But
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. God damn it.
Yeah,
man. Seriously, I don't know how many fucking pizzas I'm gonna have to sell, Frank, to be able to listen to your commentary tracks next year.
I just wish I can get to do all of them without delay. I counted them myself the other day. It's shit, this is 20 titles
for next year.
Next year,
20 that only you're involved in.
Yeah, I mean, also, some obviously will be done with collaborators, but still, I mean, my voice will be heard in probably up to 20 titles next year.
That's at
Crazy.
least $400 right there. Man, next year is a big Yuen Biao year.
That is true. Yuen
That's
Biao will
awesome.
get his due next year for sure.
I mean, I'm excited. Eureka teased Dreadnought a couple days ago, I think, right? Or
Well,
last
Eureka teased.
Eureka,
Right?
yeah, that's right. He's asking, did Frank's copy of Armor of God show up yet?
Let me check tracking. Okay, hold on. Let me check tracking. Oh boy.
Which,
Just
by
so
the way,
you know,
guys, if you don't watch Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation, you got to. One of the best channels on YouTube, easily.
he is cool. Will is a great guy.
Will is a great guy.
Will is a great guy, and I'm so glad he got to interview me at his school.
That was an awesome interview. That was
great.
awesome.
I just love it because it's like going back to campus. I just love school. I wish I still have time to go back to school, to be honest with you.
And also Will, I'm so busy at the pizza place, during the day that I get Will's videos texted notifications to my phone, and that's how I hear about a lot of announcements. So
arriving Wednesday.
Oh, a couple days.
Let me see where it is now. This is funny. Yeah, it's actually arrived at my final delivery station, so I might get it tomorrow. You never know. Hopefully tomorrow, and if not Wednesday.
Well, hopefully it's actually in the box. Hopefully it's in there.
Oh, exactly.
That's a great point.
I hope it comes in the box. It's not like shit, man. But Amazon, I trust Amazon, and I know.
I was looking at this release, compared to the Young Master, and it's just like I didn't think they could top the Young Master, and then they put out this, and I'm like,
well,
oh damn.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what though? I was kind of at fault for this. When they announced the title with the special features, I completely overlooked the fact that they have not included anything from Alan Tam. Alan Tam is the co-lead actor in that film. He's on equal billing, with Jackie. And it was huge back then. As I mentioned in my commentary, he was huge. He's like Michael Jackson. He's as huge as Michael Jackson. I'm like a fanboy myself. I went to all his concerts whenever he came.
Of Michael Jackson?
No, not Michael Jackson. Alan
I was like,
his popularity level is as big
as
how Michael Jackson was in the U.S. So, and when they first announced all the special features, somehow I was either busy or something, and I completely overlooked the fact that, hey, Alan Tam is missing here. Maybe we should approach him. And so by the time I realized that, because a member from his fan club actually approached me and said, how come, we heard about this release, they said, we heard about the release of Armor of God in UK. How come Alan Tam is not featured in the special features? Oh, shit. So I asked ADFM, hey, can we still include Alan Tam? It was too late because they were already in the authoring process, and it was too late. And so, so that's one thing that I kind of regret, not getting Alan Tam involved. It would have been nice to hear him talk about his experience and moving on to film. Because when Jackie was injured, he went to the hospital to visit him. Because when Jackie was injured, the whole crew was still staying in Yugoslavia.
Oh, jeez.
After he recovered, he recovered about 3 weeks, so he started reshooting again until Golden Harvest put a stop to all that and said, you guys, everybody come back to Hong Kong. We're done for now in Yugoslavia. But just, so when he was injured, while he was recuperating, Alan would go visit him and sing the song next to him in the hospital room.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so in a way, I'm kind of sad that we didn't get his involvement.
Now, which one do you think is a better movie, Young Master or Armor of God?
But they're kind of different, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
Young Master is more your traditional martial art comedy. Armor of God is really his answer to Indiana Jones and James Bond. I mean, like it started as an Indiana Jones movie, and midway it switched to James Bond, and I knew why, because I think it's because of the injury. They're worried that with the injury, they cannot risk him hurting himself even more by doing all these Indiana Jones stuff, type stuff. So they kind of revert. I want a friend like Alan Tam.
I think we all do.
That's Will. God damn you, Will. So they revert. Revert to James Bond territory. Remember the scene when they were after the car chase? He's at a restaurant. I mean, the outdoor dining. and he started paying the waiter, like getting information from the waiter. And I look at that's James Bond right there. It's almost like a James Bond film. So, but I understand because they, because those are all done like 6 months or almost a year after the injury, so they can't risk him hurting himself even more. So the film kind of switched gear.
Now, I don't know if you can comment to this, but is it true Cynthia the Rothrock was meant to be the final villain in Armor God?
Yes,
that's true. Wow,
that's true.
Wow.
She was supposed to be the final the final big boss, so to speak. She was supposed to be the leader of the cult, the true leader of the cult. In the film, and she was supposed to fight Jackie, and because of his injury, he got delayed. They have to wait for him to grow back his hair. Really, that was the thing. They have to wait, because Gordon Howard was superstitious about. Remember when they first started shooting, he cut off his hair. He had his short hair, and then he got injured. And so, Gordon Howard's the head honchos, Leonard Ho, thought that, that's bad luck. We cannot have him. Oh, Raymond Chow and Leonard Ho thought that this is bad luck. We cannot have him doing film with a short haircut anymore. So he has to grow back his hair. So they have to wait. So, and obviously they couldn't have Cynthia waiting around to do, because she was contracted to make films with Gordon Harvard as well. But in a way, it's good because otherwise we probably wouldn't have Right and Wrongs.
Oh yeah.
She went to make Right and Wrongs instead. Koreans, like Gordon Harvard told him, you know what, you out of Armor God. We cannot wait for Jackie for you to wait for Jackie. We have another project for you, and that project turned out to be Right and Wrongs.
Before we go, I'm asking a question for myself because I want to know, because you've been, and we keep saying before we go, but on Duel of Death, you mentioned Tokusatsu a couple times. Are you a fan of Tokusatsu?
Oh hell yeah, Ultraman! Are you kidding? Kamen Rider?
Yes,
come on, man.
Kamen Rider is.
I grew up watching Ultraman, Kamen Rider.
That makes me so happy, Frank.
That's why I mentioned it. And
by the way, Kamen Rider, I know some info. Kamen Rider next year, fans are going to be blown away by what's coming. Kamen Rider is it's my favorite property. It's my favorite Toku property.
Nice.
But yeah, let's go and wrap it up before we go on another tangent and then we end up being here for 2 hours.
I got to microwave my dinner too.
Frank, thank you so much, brother. Everyone, thank you so much for watching.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you. Good to meet you.
Next time.
Until next time. Bye.